Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lex. Welcome to the show. It's the OptionsBrew. Today we have a special guest, Grayson Roze. Grayson is the vice president of StockCharts.com, an industry-leading financial technology company that provides award-winning financial charting and analysis tools to online investors since 1999. So they've been around for a little bit. I think you're really going to enjoy Grayson. Grayson works on nearly every aspect of this business, including product design and development, marketing, content, and business development. But wait, you're not going to believe this. He's had some time to actually write a book or two. So he's written Trading for Dummies, and he's also written Tensile Trading, the 10 essential stages of stock market mastery. He's also co-founder of StockMarketMastery.com. So let's meet Grayson and bring him on in. Grayson, come on, click in.
Hey guys, good to be with you, Lex.
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Hey,
Good.
This is a thrill. This is fun. Thanks for the intro too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's fantastic. So I've got the stock charts little film behind me. Can you see that? Okay.
That is cool.
Isn't that neat?
What a feature.
Yeah, I love it. So that's great work by your team, and I love the way this comes up. So welcome to the show. Super easy. This is a layup for guys like you who are so smart. We're going to talk about StockCharts.com a little bit. Let's just get to know each other a little bit. I know you, but let's let the audience know a little bit about you. So right now, where are we seeing you from? Where are you located?
I'm in Seattle. I'm actually right in the middle of downtown Seattle. So StockCharts is located across the water, across the lake. If you know your Seattle geography, we got these lakes in the middle. Mm-hmm. So we're actually our headquarters is across the lake over in Redmond, which is right next to basically the Microsoft headquarters.
Okay.
So yeah, but I'm across in downtown Seattle, and we've been doing this whole remote work thing for 7 months now. It's crazy to say that.
Yeah, right. It's been insane. So and how is it in Seattle relative to the pandemic, all that? I know the bigger cities tend to have a little bit more issue, right?
Yeah, we were early in this whole thing. So actually StockCharts shut down. It must have been right at the end of February. Mm-hmm. And we were one of the first really that we had heard of to shut the office down. But Seattle was kind of a hot spot right at the beginning of this whole thing.
Okay.
So we said, especially where our office was, we were actually sort of right next to where they had this big breakout in one of the old folks' homes there. And so, so we shut the office down real quick, and it's been, getting better. I think we, as a city, as a region, we kind of got ahead of it. So that's been good, but certainly unusual times. It's pretty wild to go through this.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I've been in my home office since March 6th.
Yeah.
And I can grow a COVID beard in a week now.
We're the same. Honestly, I've had one haircut this whole year. If you saw this thing, it's just like glued down here. I just packed it all in. Crazy.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I swear the way we change our lifestyles and the work habits, unreal. But that's good. We're adapting. So you're an author. Tell me about that a little bit. Is it the real Trading for Dummies? The big yellow and black book? Is that what we're talking about?
Yellow, and actually mine is pink. I got a couple copies here. If you look right there,
yeah, I see it.
Got a couple copies on there, but yeah, the real Trading for Dummies, the classic for Dummies series. It's always funny when I'm watching a movie or something like that, and someone picks up a Dummies book, with some random scene, basketball for dummies or something like that. I'm like, I wrote one of those. It's kind of cool. It's kind of funny how that worked out. But
that's awesome. So yeah, and how long ago was that written? Was it a little bit ago, or?
So the first one I wrote was Tensile Trading, and that came out in 2016, so a couple years ago. And then about a year later, they were looking for an author for Trading for Dummies, and so we had just done Tensile Trading, and they, it was kind of off to a good start. They the Wiley brand is who publishes that now. They actually bought Dummies a few years ago, so they came back and said, hey, we need an author here, and we'd love to have you do this project. So
perfect. That's awesome.
Fell into my lap, but
that's terrific. Any other projects with the dummy group, or that's a really weird question, right? The dummy group.
Yeah.
Anything on the horizon?
I had one lined up, but I actually, schedule fills up, you get too busy. So I passed it off to someone else. And that was Stock Charts for Dummies. We actually have a Stock Charts for Dummies. Not us, but Stock Charts, 2 words, more broadly, just, sort of about technical analysis and things like that. So one of our good partners, Greg Schnell, he wrote that. But it's a great series. They're an interesting format, those books, and they're a good starting place for anyone who's kind of trying to get into
Yep.
really any topic. So it's been a fun thing to work on.
That's great. And I
Yeah.
see from your bio, you played a little college lacrosse. You went
Did.
out east somewhere. You're welcome to mention it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's actually, kind of how I got into this first book. It's sort of a funny story, but so I grew up, I started looking at the markets when I was about 10.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to have a dad who was
Mm-hmm.
a full-time investor. He had retired early and he was just basically managing his own portfolio and trying to sort of be a full-time trader, a full-time investor. So he started actually teaching classes when I was a kid. He was teaching sort of local continuing education classes around the Seattle area.
Okay.
And so when I was a kid, he got me into charting. He was a big technician.
Mm-hmm.
And he started showing me stock charts and sort of teaching me about, what he did for a living,
Sure.
and also what he was teaching in these classes. So I was this 10-year-old kid. I was drawing trend lines with a big pink highlighter on these chart printouts. And he would actually bring me to class, and he would sort of put me up there with the overhead projector, and I would draw trend lines on the charts that the students,
Mm-hmm.
there were generally like, 40, 50, 60. They'd throw stocks at me, and I'd start drawing trend lines on these overhead projections.
Wow.
And it was a really simple lesson in just sort of basic trend following, basic chart analysis, but it's kind of always stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of persists in the way that I approach the market now. It's all, trying to kind of simplify things and figure out, what's really happening on the chart. So
Right.
it kind of got me started in the markets though. And so flash forward about almost a decade,
Right.
I ended up tearing my ACL in college, my junior season playing lacrosse, like you mentioned. And so I was kind of screwed basically. I was sitting there with the, ice bags on my knee saying, what am I going to do this summer? And I decided that I had to go home to get surgery and do rehab, the whole multiple months of this big process. And so I ended up writing a book with Gaddis, my father. That's so great. It was kind of what got me into that first book, which is sort of a fun story. And it's just rolled from there in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is a good story. Boy, you learned young. I thought I learned young. Holy cow. You really did. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I was that weird kid on charts.
Yeah, and then you're part of this. Now, what's Stock Mastery? Stock Market Mastery. That's another project you have on the.
Yeah, it's sort of a side project, but it's kind of come out of those two books really. Yep. So we wrote this book together. My father and I wrote this book together, 10 Style Trading. And the sort of byline on it was the 10 essential stages of stock market mastery. And we love that handle. We'd been using it in teaching and things for a couple of years at that point. And so we said, what if we kind of leaned into this a little bit more, tried to do a little bit more teaching, a little more educating, things like that. So we launched this sort of sub brand with Stock Market Mastery. We actually got a trademark in the name, copyright on the name. And so we've been doing stuff under that brand for the last 5 years now. And it's just been a good way for us to kind of put our work together and do some teaching. We've been doing physical classes. We've been touring around doing seminars and things like that. We're actually bringing out a new show on StockCharts TV this coming summer. We're going to be doing a stock market mastery show. So it's just kind of been a fun, side project, another kind of brand and something else to do.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Yeah. Andre, you put that. Oh, good. Andre put that in the chat for everyone. So that's perfect.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, good. Now let's move to StockCharts.com. That's why we're here, right? Tell us a little bit about that. I know you're going to share the screen. We're going to show the folks some ideas and how this works. You're integrated with Tradier, I believe, or is that? Yeah, that's moving along well. You can talk about that as well if you'd like.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have to give you sharing capability. I don't think I do. No, you're good. Okay. Awesome. All right. Great. Perfect.
Well, yeah. So stock charts, the quick history on our business, we've been in business now for 21 years, since 1999. We were founded by a guy named Chip Anderson. And he was actually a Windows developer. He had an interesting background himself. He was an engineer, worked on Windows 1, 2, and 3 in the 80s and the 90s. So he actually retired from Microsoft in 97, and he kind of stumbled across StockCharts.com, the domain. He just, the internet was happening around him, and he kind of lucked into this amazing domain name. And he was really interested. His kind of passion in terms of technology was data visualization. That's really what sort of got him out of bed every morning, at Microsoft. And so technical analysis and charting and financial visualizations, that was sort of a natural extension what he was really passionate about from a sort of a deep technology standpoint.
Okay.
And he had been getting into the markets a little bit and learning technical analysis and things like that in his free time, being a retired guy. So he ended up launching StockCharts in 1999, and flash forward to now, we've just been growing like a weed for 21 years. And what we have now is StockCharts ACP, which stands for Advanced Charting Platform. And it's really kind of the next generation of StockCharts. We've had this legacy tool for a long time, which has sort of got us all the press and the attention in the last 21 years. That's called SharpCharts. And what's different is that SharpCharts are actually server-side generated. So they're actually PNG images. When you load a chart, you send us a request for all the indicators and symbol and all the data that you want. We actually generate that on our servers, and we send you an image of the chart. So they're great for sharing. They're great for sort of static analysis and people that really want to sort of have one chart up and really, really study it. But they're not very interactive. It's a snapshot in time, basically. And we can
That's
update
the Sharp version, right, Grayson?
That's the SharpCharts version, sort of our legacy tool. So they're not super interactive. And when we think about all that's happened with the internet and with web technology in the last 21 years, things have advanced so far. And so what we've brought out just this year, just about 2 months ago, is StockCharts ACP, which is this new dynamic, very fast, interactive charting platform. And it all runs on your machine. So if you pull it up, you're actually sort of using the power of your laptop or your tablet to generate the charts instead of us doing it sort of on the server side. So so what we give you is this really interactive view of the markets. And so you actually have a lot of features here. You can sort of scroll through time. You can pinch and zoom. You can change these axes and things like that. You can drag indicators around your chart. So there's tons of sort of flexibility that we've got with this new interactive tool. And what's really fun for us is that we've actually got 2 charting platforms now. So we've got that legacy tool, which we're going to continue to evolve over time, that SharpCharts platform. But with StockCharts ACP, we're sort of bringing out this next generation that's really going to build on top and add more features to StockCharts, and allowing us to do things like the Tradier integration. Doing something like that in our legacy tool is a little bit more cumbersome, a little more tricky. But doing something like that in this new platform under active development, we're able to do exciting things like work with you guys, and it's a pretty big moment.
Looks fantastic. So will the Sharp product sunset eventually? Is that the plan, do you think, or is it they're gonna continue parallel?
We're not thinking that it's going to be sunsetted. Actually, we very specifically don't want to do that. We think it's a great tool. We've got a lot of people that want to study, an ultra long-term monthly chart, for example, and they really want to print it out and draw on it. They want to sort of see it on the screen just in one format and really kind of lean into it, study it. And so we actually have big plans for where we're going to take that platform as well. But the big focus right now and this year and probably the next couple is definitely on ACP and the exciting things that we're doing with this new interactive platform.
Do you find you get a different type of user who prefers Sharp versus ACP? Maybe is a more active person maybe on ACP, do you think, or not so much?
We thought that we would sort of see traders gravitate towards the more interactive tool and sort of longer term investors maybe lean towards SharpCharts. But we're kind of seeing a mix. We're seeing people just sort of fluidly figure out what works for them. For some people, the interactive nature of ACP is very, very powerful, very cool, and it really fits with their process. For some other people, SharpCharts is still a great option. But it's it's so early in the process, and we're still building a lot into ACP. It's really changing on a weekly basis. We're just bringing out more and more to it. So I think that time will tell where people go. We think that there's a lot more that people are going to discover with ACP pretty soon. So
fantastic. No, it looks great. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I know you're going to talk a little bit about a couple stocks, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. So I'll give you kind of a rundown maybe before we dive into that of just what's in the platform. So like I was pointing out, so we've got the charts themselves are fully interactive. You've got a couple of different modes here. Actually, the thing that I keep clicking on and off here is what we call scrunch mode or fit to window mode. So that enables you to basically cram the chart into your screen so you can see everything all at once. Or if you have a longer chart, like let me pull up a longer chart. I've got this thing that I like to call my ultimate S&P 500 chart. you'll see this with scrunch mode off. Now I can sort of scroll up and down through the chart. It extends off the screen, so I can see a lot of different things all at once.
Okay.
And if I turn on fit to window mode, now I've got that all sort of in one view. So, we're doing some pretty cool things like that, different platform settings and those kinds of things.
Okay. Now you went to a light mode. Did you do that? I missed that part. It goes from the dark mode to light mode.
We've got a ton of different color schemes. So let me get back to sort of a simple chart here.
Yep.
So here's a darker theme, which is what I like to use for sort of my index view. So if I'm looking at something like the S&P 500, I like to keep that in a dark mode. But over here on the left side, we've got this little paint fill icon.
Yeah, let me draw for the folks. So he's pointing over here. Can everyone see that?
That's cool.
Yeah. So
love the arrows.
Yeah, so that's where he's pointing on the screen. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So we've got all these different color schemes, and whether you want light, you want dark. We've even got stuff for monochrome. We've got some specialty color vision impaired chart styles, which is pretty cool. But we've got all these different colors, different ways to sort of style your charts. What's pretty cool about it, we see a lot of people do this, myself included. Like I mentioned, I love to use different schemes, different color schemes for different things that I'm looking at. So, maybe if I've got a stock, that's going to be in one color scheme. If I've got an index, that's going to be in a completely different color scheme.
Sure.
So as soon as I sort of see this color, it sort of almost frames mentally, what I'm looking at. But tons and tons of options here, really cool different sort of schemes and themes and different ways to see your charts.
Fantastic. Yeah. Let me ask another question. Sorry. When you get all those different schemes, you have the index in dark, and you have certain things in other colors. Can you save that whole layout that when you come in, you have all that stuff saved, and you don't have to go back?
Read my mind.
Okay.
So this is the button below that one that we were just pointing out is a little paintbrush, and the paintbrush indicates what we call chart styles. So anytime you customize a chart, you put your own indicators on it, you put your, different moving averages and whether you want volume, all that kind of stuff, what type of chart you want, all of those settings can be saved as sort of a template. So if you want to come back to that chart without having to recreate it every single time, what you can do is actually save it as a chart style. So you can see here, I've got all of my custom chart styles. And again, kind of what I was mentioning, I've got, different styles for ETFs. I've got different styles for stocks. I've got some sort of basic, like this is a price only style. That's just sort of a very, very simple view of basically just the price panel. I've got stuff for mutual funds, for sector ETFs. This is kind of a fun one. So if I pull up something like XLK in this style, you see I've got some different things there. And then we've got actually some canned styles. So, we want to give people sort of a way to get started really easily. So we've got all these different styles for example, strategy. So we've got a relative strength style. We've got a trend analysis style, sort of different approaches to the markets, different themes, also different trading styles, whether you want to be a swing trader, a position trader, or maybe you're into much shorter term day trading. You've got styles for that kind of stuff. So lots of sort of out of the box things that you can sort of play around with and then, save into your own workflow and sort of make your own, start to modify those things like that. So
perfect. Let me just make a note to everyone. So I see a couple of questions rolling through here. Questions. There's a little hand question down there too. If you want to ask a question, you can raise the hand, or if you're a typer, please type into the question and answer, and we'll get to them. We might not get to them right away, but we'll get to them by the end of the show. So I forgot to mention that, of course, wasn't in my script. Okay. Sorry. No, this looks great. Really awesome. Good. One of the questions we just got is the data real time, or do you have to manually refresh?
It is. Yeah, it's actually real time. We are behind the scenes. I'm kind of giving a preview of what's coming in the next couple of weeks, but behind the scenes, we're actually making a change to speed up the data even more. But right now it is automatically refreshed. When the markets are open, you're going to see the charts start to change every couple of seconds. So it is real time. You don't have to refresh. Everything is just done there for you. Okay. So you can see that these numbers over here are changing every couple of seconds.
Okay, good. And then the other question we had is there a paper trading environment available?
Good question. So actually that's, one of the things that we're so excited about Tradier because of is this paper trading concept. So we don't have it right now, but it's actively in the works. We've got a team that's working on it. So we're going to be bringing out paper trading pretty soon here. But you guys give us that ability. I'm actually logged into Tradier right now. in sort of a paper trading account. This is sort of a dummy account that we've created. But what you can see here is I can log into Tradier. I've got all my account details, different accounts here. And then what we have is something that we call the trading drawer. So when you click this button, you end up getting this, this drawer here at the bottom, which has sort of all your positions listed. It's got any open orders that you've got, and it's got a trade panel where you can place trades directly out of here. So we're planning on leveraging this existing user interface into a paper trading capability sort of through Tradier. We're really, really excited about that. That's a additional platform.
Fantastic. That's great. Awesome. Okay. Do you have a you have an example or two of a particular stock you're looking at that you can show us some things? I have a couple questions about indicators and what have you, and I know that I can see there's questions rolling in on that as well.
Sure.
But let's pick a stock or two. And I told Grayson before the show, I said, look, everyone wants to know about longs, right? But if you have a short, you can tell us. It's okay. We're traders. We can handle it. So if there's something that you don't like, let us know. It's all right.
Well, here's one that I do like.
Okay.
So for me personally, I love what I call thematic investing, thematic trading. So you'll actually see here what I've done over on the right side. I've pulled up the chart lists panel. Now, chart lists are our way of saving, kind of like watch lists, saving different ticker symbols, different charts into your own custom lists and kind of organizing all of your stuff. So whether you got your market evaluation stuff or your portfolios or anything that you're watching, you can create different chart lists for each of those. You can actually create dozens and dozens of chart lists, up to 500 charts per list. So you can sort of collect all of the stuff that you're watching. So when I open this menu here, what you can see is all of my chart lists in ACP. And you'll notice that I've sort of got this organized. So I have this kind of top-down structure where I've got my market evaluation stuff, and then I've got some of the major indexes, some sector ETFs, and then I got my different portfolios, things like that. And it all kind of works down into stuff that I'm watching. So right here, I've got a couple of my sort of stocking lists, what I call my stocking lists, but I've got this big collection of what I call theme trades lists. So now what I mean by thematic investing is that there are all these themes that we're always talking about, right? Right now we've got something like remote work, which is a big theme that tons and tons of people are talking about. I love to take those themes, create a list around it, and just fill that list with any ticker symbol, any company, any stock that fits that theme. And it could even be ETF. So we've got something like pet care, for example, where I've actually got an ETF in here, Pause, which is a pet care ETF. So, that's one of those themes that I'm kind of tracking is pet care. And so I'm able to build these lists. And then it's not a matter of just sort of jumping in and saying, okay, I'm going to buy this just because the theme makes sense to me and I'm hoping that the stock goes up. These are just kind of places to look. So I'm storing all of these different sort of theme trade candidates in these different specific lists for each theme. And then I'm running scans on those every weekend. I'm reviewing those lists carefully. And when I see something that fits into a theme that's starting to work, that's starting to outperform the market, that's making new highs, trending up nicely, that's sort of a good trade for me. So I love sort of targeting these theme trade candidates and really kind of thinking about the markets thematically, because we see this over and over. Stuff like cloud adoption, remote work, big data. All these themes they really become big drivers in the market. And when you can kind of tack on a trade to one of those themes,
sure,
oftentimes it's a great way to find new stocks.
Now, let me ask a question. In these themes or these theme buckets that you have here, let's call it, do you always try to make the theme around an ETF, that at least there's an ETF that can be centered in the theme so that you can put some components in that theme? Is that something that you do, or does that not always happen?
It's not sort of primary for me, but what we're seeing with the explosion of ETFs is that there's so many ETF providers out there that are kind of trying to do this same sort of thing. So, something like this Pause ETF, ProShares doing the pet care ETF. A lot of ETF providers are coming out now and doing these thematic ETFs. We've seen some remote work ETFs come out in the last couple of months. We've obviously seen stuff like cloud ETFs, those kinds of things. So, online retail is another one. Online shopping has been a big theme. We've seen some ETFs around that. So it's funny, I'm thinking more about the theme outside of any sort of ETFs that I can target. Sure. But more and more you're seeing ETFs that really do fit these themes. And so I dump those into these theme trade lists. because for some of them, they're a great way to sort of play the group if you want to just play the whole theme as opposed to picking individual names inside of it.
Great.
But Good. A couple of names that I'm watching, for example, one of the themes that I think makes a ton of sense. I've actually got online shopping as one of my themes. We've seen a huge explosion of that with, for example, Shopify being a mega outperformer this year.
Right.
Kind of a knock-on effect of that is shipping. We're starting to see a lot of, specifically the trucking names, making new highs, a lot of strength from that group, specifically in the last couple of weeks. And so I'm actually looking at that space kind of as an extension of the online shopping theme, right? You buy something on Amazon, it's got to get shipped to you. It's probably going to come on a truck. So that sort of thematically makes sense to me. And again, what I'm doing is sort of keeping a list of different stocks that sort of fit that shipping theme. One right now that's just looking absolutely beautiful is Old Dominion. ODFL is the ticker.
Dominion.
Old Dominion. So what we've got here is just a beautiful trend. I'm going to pull this out to 2 years maybe. We've got a beautiful long-term trend here, a great outperformance. I'm always looking at relative strength. I want to own things that are outperforming the market, that are leading to the upside. And I am, full disclosure, pretty much only on the long side. And I'm not a big short player. I'm mostly on the long side of the market. So for me, relative strength, outperformance, that's kind of the name of the game. So when I see a chart like this that's leading to the upside, what we have in this panel is Old Dominion relative to VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Index.
Okay, let me box that out so they can see where you're looking. I see where you're looking, just to make sure. So it's right up here, am I right?
Right up there. Yeah, so this top panel, great box. So that top panel is Old Dominion relative to the total market. So when you see Old Dominion starting to outperform the market, you're going to see this blue line moving higher. So to see this outperforming the market over the last 2 years by 65%, this is just great outperformance to me. You have nice trend, staying above all of its key moving averages. We have the 20, the 50, and the 200 on this chart, as well as the 425, actually a very long-term moving average down here, the purple line. So great trend. What we're seeing is some nice accumulation. This is accumulation, distribution, and on-balance volume. Those are two technical indicators that kind of judge money flow. So I want to see money flowing into this stock, right? I want to see some buying pressure behind it if I'm going to go long on it. And so to see this sort of uptick in the accumulation distribution over the last couple of months, that's great accumulation. I like to see that. And then actually what we have down at the bottom, this bottom panel, is the scooter. The scooter is is called the StockCharts technical rank. It's sort of our proprietary technical ranking system. But we publish the formula online. It's a mix of short, medium, and long-term indicators, basically. Kind of John Murphy's approach to technical analysis. If you're familiar with John Murphy, sort of a legend in our business. We basically took his approach and tried to kind of bundle it into a formula. We worked on it with him. And it's a great way to sort of rank stocks technically, just based on kind of the price action. So it's a 0 to 100 rank within a group. So for example, here we've got the large cap group. So you can see up here at the top of the chart, we've got the scooter is the large cap group, and a scooter score of 94.5 out of 100. That means that this is one of the top scooter stocks out there. Basically, one of the strongest technically in this large cap group.
And 100 obviously is the high, right? Or is it
100 is the high, 0 is the low.
So we're way up there.
We are way up there. That is beautiful. Really, anything above 80 is a pretty strong score. I mean, anything above 55 is going to put you in the top 25%. I like to look at anything above 80. 94 is a very, very strong scooter score.
So let me ask a question, Grayson. So you've got these, RSI, on balance, scooter, you've got, the relative strength up here.
Yeah.
Is there a kind of a collision of all these things that says, wow, now's the time I got to own this? And I'm just making this up. Did something happen right here that was just like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is the green light? Does anything like that ever happen?
So what I'm big on is new highs. I love scanning for new 52-week highs. When a stock is making a new 52-week high, that is an ultimate sign of strength. So what I actually love to do is run scans every week for stocks that are breaking out to new 52-week highs. And for me, that's a great entry point. I sort of know where my almost where my stop is, and I'm letting those things run past the breakout to new highs. A lot of times what you see with these stocks is they'll either go they'll just keep running to way past new highs.
Yep.
They'll break out a little bit. They'll test that breakout level of the new 52-week high, and then they'll move higher from there, or they'll break back through it. And if they break back through it, then I'm totally fine. I'm out. I'm on to the next thing that's breaking out to new highs. So for me, I really love breakouts to new 52-week highs. In something like ODFL, that would have been somewhere around here a couple of months ago. Back in
let me
back
draw
in April,
for everybody so they can see. Okay,
yeah,
right about
around
there, right?
Yeah, and I can actually turn on the
yep.
little, yeah. So we'd be somewhere around here. Maybe in sort of end of April,
right,
around that time frame. And I've got some other stocks that are kind of closer to that breakout level.
Okay.
But the other thing that I'm always looking for is just strong trending stocks. When I see something like Old Dominion that's just got a great strong trend to it and it's moving higher, outperforming the market, all these technical indicators are lining up to be pretty bullish. At that point, some people would argue about this, but I don't think there's any perfect entry point on some of these strong trending stocks. Some of the strongest trending stocks out there, they don't give you an entry point. They feel overbought the entire way up the move, and a lot of times those trends can last a heck of a lot longer than you really expect them to. So
is Amazon in a trend forever?
That's a good example. I mean, we've
I saw the buy signal at 1900. I said, they're impossible. How can it go any higher? It's 3200 now.
It's totally true. Something like Microsoft has been a great story of that in the last couple of years. Microsoft has just been, let's pull that up. I'll pull that up on the screen. Yep. When we look at sort of I'll do a weekly chart. Here's a 5-year weekly chart. This should be about 5 years. When we look at this, there's no perfect entry point on something like that. I mean, if you catch this trend really anywhere along it, depending on the time frame that you're trying to trade it for, it doesn't give you a great entry point. So, a lot of times on these strongest trending names, you kind of got to take a leap, find the ones that are leading, that are outperforming, that have nice money flow into them, those kinds of things, nice trend, nice relative strength, and jump and be, careful about your stops. Be vigilant about where you're watching the charts and everything like that. But when we talk about some of those breakouts to new 52-week highs, for example, one that I'm watching right now is Synaptics. So
Synaptics, what does Synaptics do?
So Synaptics is a computer hardware. It's a tech company, computer hardware. They're sort of in the business of creating all these different hardware products that are all kind of tech driven. So for example, I think they do like thumbprint scanners, for example. Lots of different sort of deep hardware products. When I pull this to, let's go back to the daily chart, and we'll do maybe we'll do 1 year here. This should be about 1 year. So what you've got here is, if you can see those little arrows, I've got the crosshairs tool turned on in ACP. You've got a company that, again, is strong relative strength. This blue line is moving higher. I like to see that outperformance of the market. Nice accumulation. You can see, again, a lot of money flow into this. The RSI, a little bit overbought, but we've got a strong scooter score there, up in the mid 80s. And what I'm looking at here too is nice action above its moving averages, nice price action, and breaking out to new highs. So this is a stock that made new highs earlier in the year. Obviously got hit, with all the weakness that we saw earlier in the year from the COVID pullback and everything.
Let me show them what you mean. Tell me if I'm right here. These are the moving averages right here.
These are the moving averages.
Okay.
Yep, we've got a 20-day, we've got a 50-day, and a 200-day. So some pretty classic technical moving averages.
Right. So what Grayson's saying, excuse me, sorry, Grayson, is he's saying the price action here is above those moving averages. That's what you're indicating, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
When you see this pattern with all the moving averages sort of stacked on top of each other, the shorter moving averages on top of the longer ones, and price above those moving averages, it basically means that this stock is just getting stronger and stronger over all the different time frames. So I love to see this setup where you've got the 50 above the 200, you've got the 20 above the 50, and you've got price above that 20-day moving average. And on top of that, technically, you've got a stock that's breaking out again to new 52-week highs. It's sort of bounced above that level. If we sort of picture that that gray line going across, we've got a stock that's broken out. It's come back a little bit, retesting that, and now moving a little bit higher off of the new 52-week high level. So those are kind of the breakouts that I like to look for. Again, combined with nice relative strength, combined with, rising accumulation distribution, nice money flow into the stock, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. This is awesome. All right, how about we do some questions and
Sure.
we'll wrap up. Is that a good idea? We got
Let's do it.
several questions here. And Andre, if we have anything from YouTube, just fire them in the chat and I'll see those. Okay. So do you offer in-person training in the Redmond, Seattle office when the COVID is done?
Good question. COVID's definitely put a lot of pressure on that model. What I've done personally through Stock Market Mastery is a lot of in-person training. So we've done a lot of small group courses. We've actually done this thing called the boot camp for the last couple of years, where we bring together about 14 people. We get together for a full weekend. It's sort of a 2-day intensive seminar, and we really run through my approach to the market, Gaddis, my partner in Stock Market Mastery, his approach to the market. And we sort of put it all out there on the table for 2 days and run everyone through sort of our full process. And that's sort of the big in-person event that we do. We usually do those about twice a year. Now this year, it's been such a disappointment that we haven't been able to do a boot camp. So we're hoping to get back to those as soon as we're sort of beyond the whole COVID period. But StockCharts officially doesn't do any sort of in-person things. We sort of leverage other people like myself that might be doing things outside of what the company is officially doing. That said, we do have a ton of help docs. If you're in ACP, we've got this little question mark. We've got ACP help docs that'll take you right to some more information about using ACP specifically. We've also got a big support center, which has a lot more information about sort of all of our products, all our different tools, those kinds of things. And we do have a dedicated support team that's always there to answer questions. So, we love to hear from users. If you send in a support ticket, there's a chance that I might even answer one. We've got a lot of people at the company sort of outside of the support team themselves. A lot of other people also help out and love to get in there and answer questions and things. So we've got a lot of resources there. But if you're interested in some sort of dedicated StockChart stuff in the Redmond area, if anyone's in Seattle, get in touch. Follow me at Stock Market Mastery. Love to get you out to a boot camp. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there you go. So someone asked about how to sign up. So get in touch with Grayson.
You can visit us at stockmarketmastery.com, and
I think that's in the chat.
There.
Yeah, I'm looking through that now. Okay, good. Another question. We'll take a couple more. Can you trade off the charts?
Can you trade off the charts?
Meaning, I think what this viewer means is, if you see a place and you have a horizontal line, can you make a trade off of that? Is that doable yet or not so much?
So we're thinking that we're going to get there. We're working on it. What we have right now is, I'll open up the trade drawer. So again, we have the ability to trade directly through Tradier. It's a great thing about Tradier and the integration that we have in ACP. If you go to place a trade, now here you select equity trade. We are bringing out options trading later this year, but we're not there yet. That should be coming in about 2 months. Okay. But right now, if you're going to place a basic equities trade and you've got this symbol box, we've got 2 options here over on the right, these little arrows. So you have the option to enter a symbol in this box and then sort of push it up to the chart, or you can take whatever you've got on the chart and bring it down into the symbol box. So,
and that's for the viewers. That's right where my box is where Grayson's pointing. Okay.
So right now I just clicked that down arrow and I basically pulled in this ticker symbol. I'm looking at Synaptics again, SYNA, and I basically pulled that into the trade drawer, and I can now trade sort of in a couple of clicks there. So not trading from the chart itself, but we are trying to create some links there between the trading panel and the chart, and that's only going to grow. We're at the very, very beginning of this integration. We've got some big plans for it. So trading from the chart is definitely something that we're exploring. We're pretty excited about that one.
Okay, that's awesome. Another question: can you combine indicators in order to make it a signal? So I think what that means is, you use RSI and maybe 80 and OBV and create, Grayson's wonderful indicator. Is that doable?
Yeah. So it's, again, something that we're exploring. One of the things that we can do right now, actually, you're sort of seeing that here. You can basically put indicators into one panel. So you can take 2 separate indicators. For example, I can drag on balance volume out. Now I've got, as you can see, I've got on balance volume and accumulation distribution in separate panels. And what I can actually do is sort of drag those into the same panel, and I can view them both at the same time.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's kind of one way to view indicators together. But as far as actually combining them into a formula that's going to sort of spit out one calculation, we can't do that yet. We are exploring the ability to do sort of custom coded indicators for users. We call those user generated indicators.
Got it. And they go to town in that world. They go to town. Sorry. They go to town and put their whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Someone's asking, what is the difference between AD and OBV?
That is a great question. So these are both money flow indicators. I use them to track money flow into a specific stock. Now, on balance volume is an interesting indicator because it's basically, if you think about it as a bucket, right? And if the stock goes up on the day, we're going to take all the volume for that day, all the trading volume, and we're going to put it into the bucket. Okay. If the stock goes down the next day, we're going to take whatever volume it traded that next day when it's down, and we're going to take that volume out of the bucket. So it's kind of this cumulative measure up and down, depending on whether price is up and down, we're going to either add volume or subtract volume. Now, it does that basically just based on the day as a whole. So no matter what really happens sort of throughout the day, it's still going to take all that volume and it's going to put it in the bucket, or take all that volume and take it out of the bucket. Accumulation distribution does a very, very similar thing, but it's looking more at the midpoint of the day as opposed to the start and the end. So it gives you kind of this more active in a way sense of what actually happened throughout the trading day, as opposed to just from one day to the next. So what I like to do is combine the two onto one panel, like you see here, and you basically get this view of day to day and then intraday, if that kind of makes sense. Because they're very, very similar indicators, but they're kind of looking at different points of the day and sort of measuring the same concept from two different perspectives.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yep, makes sense to me. Perfect. Good. Yeah. Someone asked, and I'm not sure I saw you go here, but you might have. How do you use sync mode?
Good question. So sync mode is an interesting one. We have the ability in ACP to actually create multi-chart layouts. And this is something that we're going to be expanding very, very soon. We're going to give you more customizations and the ability to save those layouts. But what you can do is this plus icon here. If I type in, let's see, I had a couple other stocks on my list. So I'm going to type in CRM here, Salesforce, and then I'm going to hit the plus icon. Okay. And now you'll see that I've created another chart of CRM. And if I type in RNG, that was Ring Central, I've got another chart. So I can create these multi-chart layouts. Got it. Now, what I can do with sync mode is sort of lock those together so that any charts on the screen that have the same symbol, those are going to change all at once. So for example, if I change this Ring Central chart, I'm going to make this CRM, okay? And I'm going to make this one over here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take off. So I've got two CRM charts. I'm going to make the top one a weekly chart. Okay. And I'm going to make the bottom one a daily chart. So now I've got a weekly chart and a daily chart of the same symbol on the screen. And if I turn on sync mode, what it should do is anytime I change the symbol, it's going to change both of those charts to the same symbol. So if I type in Google here, it's going to change both of those symbols, both of those charts, because they're using the same symbol, and I've got sync mode on. So it's kind of a good way to what I like to do with it is exactly this. I like to pull up one symbol in a couple of different time frames, maybe a longer term monthly, a weekly, and a daily, or weekly, daily, intraday, kind of different time frames of the same symbol, and then turn on sync mode, and you can sort of flip through a bunch of different symbols really quickly and change all the time frames kind of all at once.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. That's terrific. A couple more. How do I show volume, a volume 30-day average line over the volume bars? Now, I'm not sure what that.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay, good. I'm glad because I can't even fake that one. So
we're making some adjustments to the volume indicator, but see what I've got here on the chart is the volume bars. Now I've got
that's down here, Grayson, for everybody. See where my box is. Okay, good.
Bars. And up here, I've actually got the volume label. So that indicates that the volume indicator, the volume bars, are on the price panel. Now, if I drag this volume out to its own panel, Now I've got volume charted sort of separately. Okay, so I've got volume in its own panel. And what I can do is go over here. I can type into the in the chart settings menu under the add indicator box. I can type in moving average, and you can see I've actually starred some of these. I'm going to add a simple moving average to the chart. Now, by default, it adds to the price panel, but I can take that moving average and I can drag it down into the volume panel. And now I've got a moving average of volume. Oh, I have to change this actually to volume. So now I've got this moving average calculated from volume. So if the question was a 30, I believe, I'm going to make this a let's do a pink for fun. We'll do a pink 30-day moving average of volume, and you can see that that line there now. And you can even change the style of it. Maybe you want to make it a little bit thicker, a little easier to see. Now I got my big thick volume line. So we're making some tweaks right now, actually, to make that a little bit more seamless. So we're going to add that as an option actually to the volume indicator itself, the ability to add a moving average to it sort of from one click. So you'll be able to just click volume, and there'll be an option right here to do add a moving average to it. So some cool things like that.
Awesome. Awesome. Good. Okay. One more. How's that sound?
Go for it.
This one, well, maybe two more. One just came in. It looks a little techie, but so if you can't answer it, do you have any plans to expose your API so that people can access it for scanning and that sort of thing?
Good question. Good question. So we're considering it right now. What we have is a model called our plugin model. So over here on the right side of ACP, you've got this little plug icon just above the Tradier icon. And in the plugins panel, we've got these different plugins from some of our sort of specific partners, people that we've worked with for quite a long time. Now, what we're doing with these plugins is we're giving people the ability to sort of build their indicators into ACP, but we're doing it on a sort of a very curated basis. So we're doing that for the experts that we've been working with for years. Someone like Arthur Hill, who's been, if you're familiar with StockCharts, Arthur Hill has been a StockCharts contributor for 15 years, maybe even more. So what we've done is we've said, hey, Arthur, we'd love to work with you to build some new indicators into ACP as a plugin. And then people can go and they can install that plugin, and those indicators will actually be added to ACP. You'll see it says I've got the Trend Investor Pro indicator pack installed here. So now when I go back over to my my chart settings menu under the add indicator box or panel, at the bottom here, you can see I've got the Trend Investor Pro indicators available for me to use. So we're building this plugin model, but it's a bit more of a curated environment. We're considering opening that up for others to develop their own stuff, but no progress on that yet. So that's a great question, though. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. Good. Okay. And lastly, can you discuss anything about pricing, monthly pricing? Is that available? Is there something you could give the folks on that?
Sure. Yeah. So StockCharts itself, ACP is free to use. We have free tools on the site. We have always had free tools on the site. We always will have free tools on the site. If you just come to StockCharts.com and you don't have to log in, you don't have to do anything. You can just go to ACP, start charting, all that. So ACP is free to use. Now, we do have 3 membership levels. So, our goal is to give you more advanced tools, give you the ability to save your chart settings, create those custom chart lists like I was talking about. I've got my chart lists over here. I've got my chart styles over here. All of those kind of saved settings and the more advanced features, those are all locked down under StockCharts membership. So you got to be a member to access really the biggest, baddest, most important features of ACP, the things that make it really fly. So if you go to StockCharts.com / I believe it's /pricing, you can see our sort of how things work. Our different membership levels. So we've got a free level, which again is totally free to use. There's no login. You don't have to sign up or anything. But you get some definite restrictions. So if you want to really get the most out of StockCharts, you want to create some bigger, better charts, I would recommend our extra level. But we've got basic, extra, and pro, and down at the bottom we've got the pricing for that. So basic starts at $14.95 a month. Extra, which I think is really kind of the sweet spot, that gives you the most features, the most storage, that kind of things. That's $24.95 a month. And then if you really want to go nuts, we do have what we call our pro level. which gives you even more storage, even more advanced features, more historical data, those kinds of things. So Pro is about $40 a month. And if you sign up for a year, we do give you a discount on that. We basically give you 1 month for free. So if you want to sort of save a little bit of money, you can always do that. So awesome. Our pricing page, StockCharts.com/pricing, or just go to our homepage, actually StockCharts.com. You can scroll down here. You can read about some of our features, those kinds of things. But here you can see sort of a quicker look at some of those features and the discounts on the annual renewal. So
perfect.
We got a lot of information on the homepage, StockCharts.com. You can always go there.
Awesome. All right. That is just terrific. Grayson, awesome job. Really interesting stuff. StockCharts.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have this all recorded. It'll be on our YouTube live, which is OptionsBrew by Tradier. So look for that and look for upcoming episodes. Grayson, it was a pleasure. Nice meeting you. Nice talking to you. It was awesome.
Yeah. Lex, this was a ton of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to coming back. We got so much more coming to ACP pretty soon. I can't wait to join you again soon, hopefully.
Oh, awesome. Anytime. It was fantastic. Talk soon, man.
All right.
Okay. Bye now.